interesting characters from history, and just caught my imagination. And just there were so many different stories about Americans. I mean, it was like these guys were chasing a $25,000 first prize, and you think about it back then, the average salary for a family of four was $2,000 a year.
Right.
So here these guys had the opportunity to make a lifetime worth of money for this one race. And well, Pyle had failed at pretty much everything he had done. He was a master promoter. His big coup was signing Red Grains to a professional football contract. I mean, he was his agent. About the third day,
Wow.
they had to climb up over the California mountains down into the Mojave Desert. So they gained about 4,000 feet in 20 miles of running or something like that. Pyle's men were supposed to be along the course there, making sure they had water and all these different things, and lunch, and then when they finished, Pyle had set them up in these tents, and he had, he assigned like 15 guys to one tent, but Pyle would not wash. He never thought about washing the sheets or setting up laundry facilities to clean their clothes. So these men would come back to these stinking sheets and stinking clothes, and then Pyle would just pull all the sheets together in a big wad, throw them in a truck, and then he'd pull them out again. So you would get some guys, bloody blistered feet.
Oh, man.
Mud. I mean, it was hellish. And then his cook turned out to be an old army cook who would open up cans of beans and pork over a boiling pot in the desert. And an ultra marathoner running, 40 miles a day needs probably 3 times the calories of an average person. Okay, there was one guy, Lucian Frost, I believe his name was, who was an actor, a biblical actor. He portrayed Moses, and he had a long white beard and all these different things, and he was quite a character. He was eventually caught cheating. He was hiding. Yeah, he was caught cheating, and he was in the back of somebody's trunk, and they found him, and he was out of the race. 15-year-old Toby Joseph Cotton from Los Angeles. He was a black kid from Los Angeles. His dad was paralyzed in a car accident, and so Toby decided that he was going to save his family by running across America. So his dad was in the back of the car. His 13-year-old brother Wesley drove the car, and his 11-year-old son, brother James, brought him food and water on the course. So here you have this improbable team of a paralyzed father, a 13-year-old brother driving the car, and 15-year-old Toby running across America in hopes of winning the $25,000 and pulling his, and helping his family. So in the last days of the race, they were going through the Catskill Mountains, and by Chicago, Pyle was basically bankrupt, and the dad of one of the race walkers, F.F. Gunn, took over the race because basically he just wanted to see his son finish, and he didn't want Pyle to quit. So his idea was to end the race as quickly as possible. So after Chicago, he increased the distance, which averaged about 35 miles a day to about 50 miles a day. Eddie the Sheik Gardner from Seattle. Mr. Gardner is an African American. He's from Seattle. He had to face a special challenge. So Gardner has run across the Mojave Desert, the high country of Arizona, right? So he's gone through hell to get to the border of Texas. And then when he hits the Jim Crow state of Texas, all of a sudden he faces a man-made hell. His life is threatened, right? And then he goes to Western Oklahoma. A guy rides behind him with a gun trained down his back, daring him to pass a white man. So after that, he says, okay, either I drop out of the race or I just accept that I'm probably going to get killed. And by the time he gets to Chicago, he is a hero to African Americans. I mean, this guy stood up to Jim Crow.
Wow.
And, yeah. And so, because of his undaunted courage or something, I just. Oh, okay, so Johnny Salo, it's a minor league baseball game between two local teams, and he's on the third base line, controlling the crowd. So the guy, I think, hits a ball to left field. The crowd surges forward. Johnny puts his arms out to push them back. The left fielder whips the ball to the third baseman, but Johnny's head is in the way.
Oh.
So he's conked on the side of the head, and he falls down unconscious. And he dies tragically that night, unfortunately. But he was probably the greatest ultramarathoner in the last century. I mean, he came in second in the 28 race and first in the 29 race, and he beat the world's best ultramarathoners.
Wow, what an incredible story.
Yeah.